All right, welcome everybody. It is the top of the hour, so I guess we'll get started. There may be some more people trickling in, but I think we should probably get going. I'm Bobby DeMontney. I'm the Montana Library Network Technical Support Person, and this is our third Tiny Tech training on the Montana State Library MSL Learn series. I'm accompanied by Coley Bartow, our CE coordinator, who will be helping to moderate and also make sure you get your evaluation link at the end. We are going to cover Overdrive Help. We're going to talk about support tickets and Kindles and e-readers. I noticed a lot of people registered for this one, and I'm sure that the Kindles and e-readers is kind of a hot topic for some folks. I know I've gotten quite a few tickets about that in the past, so we will definitely touch on Overdrive suggestions for that. We've got a couple different sections in the Overdrive Help. That link at the top shows you how to get there, and soon we will also do a demo of that. So there is a Libby section here. When you click on that, it tells you all about the different help resources for Libby and the different types of devices and how to download and whatnot. You can use ebooks, audiobooks, magazines, and even the extras that the MSL has subscribed to. There's Sora, that is very similar to the Libby app, but it is for schools, and students can access, again, ebooks, audiobooks, and magazines. They offer Canopy, but that's not one that we're going to be talking about because it's not part of the Montana State Library package. If your library subscribes to Canopy separately, you would still see it as one of your options, but that's not something we'll be talking about today. And of course, Overdrive, which is their legacy app and the library websites. And that's the one that most people are used to, where the users have been using it for a long time. If you need to reach out to support for the Libby app, there are a couple of ways to do that. For library staff and patrons, you'll find a link at the bottom of their FAQ pages within the Libby help section. That gives instructions to access support within the Libby app. So right there on your phone, you see this need more help section. There's the three little lines. People like to call that the hamburger icon a lot. But if you open that little menu, you can click that to get some help. And there's a support section right there. If you can't access the form in Libby, there are some links to help you do that on the side. And also on that same page that we'll be demoing here soon, you can see a short video about Libby support if you need to kind of see it in action. Now, if it needs a higher level of support, like there's something going on with your library card numbers, or if there's just something that's not quite doing the trick through the Libby app, there is the option to open a high-level support ticket through Marketplace, and that's usually done by the person designated at your agency. This is usually the person who maybe runs your Marketplace reports for Overdrive or receives the invoices. At any rate, even though everyone here may not have that exact credential to do it, I'll show you where it is. And I see some people on here who absolutely would have that credential. So I think that with this group of people, it's a good one to show you. In the Overdrive help section, there's a troubleshooting part that has a fantastic amount of information on almost every sort of device someone could ever think to try to use. You'll see here on this list here, they've even got MP3 players on here, e-readers. There's a lot of different things you could take a look at with a lot of different problems that have happened in the past with steps in order to resolve those. I also want to call your attention to the green Find Library Support button right there. This takes users to a form where they can put in their zip code, and then they can pull up the library that's associated with their zip code in order to get support from someone that, like their own librarian. A moment ago, I mentioned Marketplace. This is what it looks like. And this is where those staff members with the credentials, the invoice people, the reporting people, that's where they can log in and click on the support button. And when they do that, they can access end user support, help and resources, and a contact us section. Now, in that first Libby section that I showed you, you can click into that from the Overdrive Help page, and there's a troubleshooting list where you can click devices, compatibility, and syncing. And that is usually where you want to be to troubleshoot things on the Libby app. There's also a section under that where it talks about whether or not you can use Libby on an Amazon Fire tablet. The short answer is yes. There are some additional steps to that I will talk about here shortly. If you click into the Overdrive Help page, there's another troubleshooting button, and from there, there's a Kindle drop down, and you can browse links for common issues and click to open those. All right, I have a short video now that's going to demonstrate how to send a book from Libby to a Kindle device.
Want to read on a Kindle device? Overdrive is the only distributor with access and integration to send most ebooks to Kindle devices.
Before we get going too far, can you guys hear the sound on that? Excellent. Yes. All right, I'll keep this going.
On the title details page, scroll down and look to see if the Kindle format is supported. If so, when you borrow a Kindle compatible title, tap Open Book and choose to read with Kindle. You'll be taken to Amazon.com to finish the fulfillment process. If you haven't signed into Amazon yet, you'll be prompted to do so first. On the right-hand side of the page, choose which Kindle compatible title to deliver it to. Then tap Get Library Book, and you'll be sent to a confirmation page. The title will now appear on your Kindle homepage. If you're having trouble getting a library book from Amazon's website onto your Kindle, go to Account and Lists, and then choose Content and Devices. If that doesn't work, we recommend contacting Amazon support directly.
Okay, so the big question is, can I use Libby on an Amazon Fire tablet? You can do that, but you have to download Libby from Overdrive directly. You can't get it from the Amazon store. They've been working on this for a really long time, and they have kind of hit a wall. So at this point, they have no more information on when or if Libby will become available in the Amazon App Store. And they're being pretty open about it. They've asked a bunch of times, and it doesn't sound like they have a time frame for when that will occur. With that in mind, even though we've been promoting the heck out of everyone switching over to Libby, they can't remove the Overdrive app from the Amazon App Store until that happens. So those Kindle Fire users could still use Overdrive. They can download that app there. Everybody else cannot. If they're not a Kindle user, they need to be using Libby if they want that app to work. I know that adds a little bit of confusion to it, but at least those Amazon Fire tablet people will still be able to access their books. And if they really, really do want Libby, there are steps that you can go through on the Amazon help page to show them how to do that, or you can send them the link so they can do that. It just depends on kind of your availability to work with them on that. Before I move on, I also want to mention those Amazon Fire users, they can always go to on their browser, libbyapp.com, and that's the web version of the app, and it works just as well. So that is another option they can try if they don't feel tech savvy about downloading the Libby app from Overdrive, which does have a few more steps to it than it would normally from a regular app store. So that is another alternative you can tell them about that might help. So I've got some demonstrations here. First, I'll start with this Overdrive Home. So now you should be seeing the How Can We Help section. And I'm going to take you right to Libby Help. They have all of these fantastic FAQs. And one of the first things I did when I logged in is I pasted those links into the chat. And so you should have those available to you if you want to follow along or just bookmark these for later. This would be probably really helpful to have bookmarked if you have reference desk folks that get these questions a lot. So as I mentioned, there was this devices, compatibility, and syncing section. And this tells you all of the things you need to know about these things. Can I transfer books to an e-reader from Libby? This one is the big question. I get tickets about it. I'm sure you get lots of questions. Can I use Libby on my Amazon Fire tablet? As we said, yes, you can download it. No, they don't have additional information. The main difference between using the one that you download directly from Overdrive and what you'd get from an app store is that if things aren't working, you need to go back to Overdrive and update that app yourself instead of having those automatic updates pushed out. And there's also some differences depending on where you are. We're going to just kind of glaze over this because I'm assuming most of our people are going to be in United States libraries because this is for Montana. And then we also have some more reading with Kindle instructions here for more help. But before I do that, I also wanted to show you what devices are compatible with Libby. So you can download, these are the iOS 10 and up from the Apple Play Store, Android 5 and up, Google Play. And again, if you get it from Overdrive directly, the Fire 5 and up. And then this is that libbyapp.com that I was talking about. That one, they suggest the latest versions of your browser. And if you haven't seen it, some of you, I know you already have because I've seen your faces in my trainings before. As you can see, you've got your borrowed, your tags, move my, there we go. So there's that hamburger icon I was talking about. See your libraries. This is the help and support. Get some help. They have a help site and they have common solutions. So there are some things right there that are just embedded in the app that should be helpful to people if they get stuck. So I'm going to get out of there again. And then in the Overdrive section here, this is where they had a large number of help guides for just about every device you can imagine. So I'm going to go back into Kindle. And as you can see, they have it broken down if someone has a weird error that they don't know what to do, if they're struggling with Adobe Digital Editions. These are all helpful things. There's the general troubleshooting for Overdrive. If someone's struggling with their cache. And why can't I read my Kindle book on the Kindle or Reading app? So when you're in there, there is the ability to look for Kindle restriction links under the formats. And again, this is Overdrive, not Libby right now. And if you are looking at that Kindle book format, you should be okay. But if not, then you might not be able to see this. This especially applies to certain picture books, graphic novels, things like that. So just make sure to look to make sure these books are Kindle compatible when downloading them, because that can be a problem, and I can see how that might be an oversight if a patron's especially new to it or hasn't encountered that particular issue in the past. And I'll open this. I haven't had to troubleshoot an MP3 player in years, but I remember the days when I actually had to do this with the iPod Shuffle when I was at the front desk of the library. I don't know if you guys still get these kinds of questions anymore, but it's really helpful just to know that it's here if someone comes in with something that's really old and you need to figure out how to make it work. I'm going to go back into Libby Help. There. So this is that Kindle books for the US only. And again, when people are having trouble getting a book from Amazon to the Kindle, make sure that they're signed in to their Amazon website first, and then they have their accounts, lists, content, and devices. And there's a section where you can deliver or remove the device with the book. And this is all done on the Amazon side. So at that point, if none of these things are working and it looks like they're doing it right, do make sure to contact or have them contact Amazon support. Additionally, some other things that are just common questions to ask: make sure that they have their Wi-Fi enabled, make sure that their data is enabled, make sure that they have it set up to automatically download. Maybe they've switched devices or have a new phone or something, and so some of those primary settings just aren't in place. And if that's happening, that can also be problematic for trying to get things to work when they may have previously. And of course, there's the real basic stuff like making sure their card isn't blocked or anything like that. All right, I'm going to get back into my slideshow. And now we're going to go over to the marketplace. Okay, so in Marketplace, like I showed you, there's the support section here. If you are one of the people who have that administrative access to use this section of Overdrive, then you should be able to get to any of these lit up features. Under support, not only will you see there's this end user support where you can manage holds, return titles on someone's behalf. This one's really important. So if someone loses their library card and needs a new one, you can actually merge their user IDs right here. So they don't get, they don't lose their read history. If they're following that, they can see all their old stuff. They can access their holds. They can access their wish list. So that's a pretty important one to know about. There's a section for Libby Help, Overdrive Help, and the Overdrive Resource Center. This is going to take you to pretty much where we just were. And then if you run into even more trouble, there's the actual technical support, which will get you over to your people, the Overdrive people supporting our particular cohort. So from here, you would just put in the important facts, and the more information you can give them, the easier it goes. Because sometimes maybe it's a barcode thing, or sometimes it could be whatever operating system they're on, what browser they're using, if they're on a specific kind of device and the model. And not everyone's going to know this to give you this information, but the more you can get out of them, the faster this will go with the resolution to the problem. So this is important to know about. And if you do not have access to this, if your library is one of the libraries who are part of the Montana Library to Go, then someone in your library certainly must, because someone's paying those invoices. So you might have to poke around and find out who is the person to go to for this, but someone definitely has access to this. And if it turns out that the person doing the invoices maybe is not necessarily, maybe shouldn't be the same person who's doing the support cases, you can also open a ticket. And there are a few libraries, especially some of our bigger ones, who have more than one person as a designee to access this stuff. So, have a chat within your library if there's some questions about that, and we can certainly talk about who should have access to what. All right, and the last one is, actually, this is kind of duplicative. It's the troubleshooting guide that we were just looking at in Overdrive, but I wanted to have it up and ready just because it's kind of cool to see all of the different sorts of things that they've addressed already. But there's a lot of different information here if someone's having Mac specific problems. So that's also good to know about. I know I tend to leave those Mac users out a lot because it's not my primary go-to, but there's a whole lot of different things that can come up for Mac users that might look a little bit different for PC users. So if that happens, here is a troubleshooting guide specific to Mac users, just so no one's left out. And now I think that brings me to the question section of the day. So feel free to ask, or you can put it in the chat.
I did add the link to the evaluation.
Oh, and there are something in the chat. How do you know how long Libby has been going? Oh gosh, Libby has been around for a fairly long time. It just was kind of an add-on thing, a different app you could use, but it wasn't the one that was required. And Tina, the recording of this will be saved and posted on our site. So on our YouTube site. So it will be available to you. Usually I like to make them available the next day. I am actually traveling right now, which is the reason for the single screen today. But I think I should have that available for you. If not by Friday afternoon, definitely by Monday afternoon. So yes, this will be available to you. And I'm just checking to see if I can find out when Libby started. Wow, June of 2017 is when that started. It just didn't become the primary for most devices until just February of this year. Yeah, you're welcome. And as usual, I'd love to encourage you guys to get the word out to your patrons, because there's probably some folks out there, you know, it's hard to get everybody. And there's probably someone out there who's just like, oh no, everything is broken, and they haven't actually reached out or asked. So if it's something where they seem kind of confused, or they're talking about Overdrive, it's totally okay to make corrections to say, do you mean Libby? Unless they're talking Kindles, and then you have to kind of toe that line, I guess. But hopefully, oh, thank you, Coley. That's so helpful. All my information is right there in the chat. Coley pasted it in there for you. And yeah, so if you get stuck on any of this, if you need a reminder of where to go to find this stuff, please feel free to open up a help desk ticket or just reach out to me at my email. I am out of the office this week until Friday, but feel free to leave me a message and I'd be happy to get back to you if you get stuck along the way. Again, the recording will be available on our YouTube account, so do look for that after, I'm going to say Monday, just to be safe. Yeah. And we are closing in on that 10:30 mark, so this is your last call for questions. Okay, guys. Oh, yeah. Thank you. Thank you, Sheila. And you have a great day too. Everybody have a wonderful day.